Troy, the great city featured in Homer's Iliad, really did exist. I've stood there. And the man who's credited with this amazing discovery actually never found it. And what's worse, he should be credited with how much he destroyed at the site. Let's look at the very strange case of how Troy was really found. It's a rich man who's credited with finding Troy, but the actual original finder of Troy is an English expat, an amateur archaeologist called Frank Calvert, who never gets any credit for what he found on the hills of a place called Hisarlik in Turkey. He was excavating there long before this rich Heinrich Schliemann ever turned up. The thing was, even though he'd actually bought parts of the mound so that he could do his excavations, Calvert had the skills, he just simply didn't have the money. And he was never going to be able to prove his theory that Homer wasn't just writing a poem when he wrote the Iliad, he was writing a set of directions on how to find this incredible place. So Calvert knows about Schliemann, and he knows that he's got tons of money to invest in this hunt, and he's super interested in finding Troy. Calvert gives in the map. Do you think Calvert knew that Schliemann would take all the credit when he did this? Schliemann turns up. He has a whole lot of money and very little experience of excavating, and this shows in what happens next. He begins to dig where Calvert has pointed him to, and he doesn't find one city. He believes that if he digs to the bottom, he will find mythical Troy. And in doing so, he manages to dig through what is now believed to be not one, but 9 layers of Troys. He also mistakenly believes that if he gets to the bottom of the levels, Troy lies there. Schliemann had a lot of money and very little experience, and that led him to make catastrophic errors. The question Schliemann should have been asking is which one of these layers was Troy. Instead, he makes the mistaken decision that it's got to be the lowest level. He digs a massive trench all the way through the middle of this huge mound. It is said in many sources that he actually blasted his way through to the bottom. He has destroyed countless amounts of evidence of real Troy on the way down. In 1873, at the bottom of his trench, he finds a hoard of gold and silver and bronze, and he calls it Priam's treasure. Radiocarbon dating and other things would not have been around then, and therefore he doesn't know that that treasure he actually found was 1,000 years too old to be Troy. That's right, Schliemann had blasted all the way through Troy and all the way down to Troy 1, which was a Bronze Age settlement. Thankfully, post-Schliemann, modern archaeologists have begun to look at the layers above where Schliemann was digging, and there's interestingly Troy 6 and Troy 7a where they do believe they have found evidence of a possible real Iliad Trojan city. Troy 6 they think was razed to the floor by an earthquake rather than a battle. And therefore, it's Troy 7a that they are looking most closely at. They have found that it met a very violent end and that there is actual destruction and burning. I can say, having been to Troy and walked around it myself, there is so many levels of history on that site, and it is so spread out. It is really difficult to understand which was the Troy of Achilles and the wooden horse. Does finding Troy prove that any of what was written by Homer in his book, the Iliad, was it just a brilliant poem talking about a place that we do know existed, or were there serious grains of truth? I can tell you from looking out from the vantage point at the top of Troy, out towards the ocean, Dardanelles on this side, there are the islands Greeks are claimed to have hidden behind when they feigned leaving the beach and pretending to go all the way back to Greece, whilst leaving their horse full of men who are going to butcher Troy later on. So you just looking out over the geography, you can see everything lines up, and you have to think, how did Homer know all this? It wasn't like they had travel guides or he could hit up the internet for the information.
Consensus history.
Trojan walls. There you go. I hope you enjoyed the video. Next video is just going to be up somewhere around here. Please go and investigate another history mystery. Give me a subscribe and tell me in the comments box below. Is it Schliemann or Calvert who should get the credit for finding the site of mythical Troy?